You want to know how a regular Tuesday turned into the day I torched an entire system of petty tyranny, forced my worst enemy out of the building, and ended up proving for myself and everybody else what real power actually means? Buckle up, because this is the wildest thing I've ever lived through. And trust me, it started out feeling like just another pain in the neck HOA story, but ended like something out of a courtroom drama crossed with The Office. So picture this, 2 years back, after a decade and a half grinding my way up from nothing, waiting tables through college, living on dollar ramen, hustling 80-hour weeks. I finally bought a building. Not just any building, a gorgeous 50-unit condo complex called the Crestview, which for me was the kind of milestone you dream about while staring at a stained ceiling tile at 3 in the morning, wondering if any of this hustle will ever pay off. I could have taken the penthouse, but I didn't want to make a scene. I grabbed a regular unit in the middle, figured I'd keep a low profile and really see how things ran around here. To most of the folks, I was just another face in the hallways. They all thought some faceless corporation owned the place, which technically, yeah, but that corporation was me. And that anonymity turned out to be my ace in the hole. Let me tell you, Crestview looked like it belonged on a postcard marble in the lobby. Fancy light fixtures. HOA fees steep enough to make you double-check your math. It attracted two crowds: younger people chasing the dream, and older residents who'd been here so long, their furniture had permanent indents in the carpet. But the power behind the scenes. That was the HOA board run by a group of lifers who acted like they'd inherited the place from royalty. Leading the pack was Diane Foster, the board secretary, pushing 50, not even an owner, just a long-term renter who used her sliver of authority like she was running a dictatorship. Diane lived for drama. She left notes on doors for everything from a forbidden welcome mat to the wrong type of light bulb in your sconce. And if she could embarrass you in front of your neighbors, all the better. About a week before everything blew up, Diane gave me a violation notice for a holiday wreath that was, get this, 2 inches too wide. The tone was so dripping with fake politeness I actually laughed, but in hindsight that should have been my warning that this woman was just getting warmed up. Now here's where it really takes off. Tuesday morning, the single most important day of my professional life. I had a high-stakes pitch at 10 a.m. that would basically decide the future of my consulting firm. I'm talking months of prep, sleepless nights, my team counting on me, the whole thing. I pull on my best suit, the one I splurged on when we landed our biggest client, a suit that honestly felt like a badge of honor after so many years eating noodles and chasing checks that barely cleared. I'm rushing through the lobby late and on edge when I see Diane absolutely losing it on a delivery guy. She's berating him because his cart was an inch out of bounds and he looked like he was about to quit on the spot. He flees, and then of course her laser focus lands on me. She gives me this look, scanning my suit, pure disgust. And then right there in front of everyone, she steps into my path and says, "Some of us actually work for a living. Must be nice to play dress up." I tried to move around her seriously. I had no time for her games, but she wasn't about to let me go that easy. My heart was pounding, but I said, "I've got somewhere I need to be, Diane," which just set her off even more. She starts ranting about entitled newcomers, how people like me ruin everything. Then in a move so unhinged, I still can't believe it actually happened, she grabs a spray bottle of cleaning bleach and hurls it straight at me, yelling, "Stop looking rich." It hits me dead center. Instantly, my suit is covered in bleach, and the chemical smell just about makes my eyes water. I was frozen, caught between outrage and pure shock. Diane starts flip-flopping, first saying it was an accident, then it's just a suit, just fabric, no big deal. But I wasn't about to let this slide. I pulled out my phone, started recording, and calmly said the date and time, describing exactly what just happened. "This is assault and property destruction," I said, because at this point it was... Suddenly Diane got all panicked, threatening to call the cops and trying to paint herself as the victim, while a little crowd gathered, the usual lobby peanut gallery. I ducked into the bathroom, grabbed whatever paper towels I could, but it was useless. The damage was done. And here's the real kicker. I had to walk into my big meeting with giant bleach stains on my suit. Try explaining that to a boardroom full of people you're trying to impress. The meeting was a train wreck, no matter how much I tried to focus. People kept glancing at my ruined jacket, and you could see the doubt on their faces. It's funny how quickly sympathy turns to suspicion when you're supposed to be the guy in charge. Afterwards, I took the suit to the best dry cleaner in the city. The owner just shook his head. Bleach doesn't stain, he said, it erases. He gave me a replacement estimate for over $300 and said the suit was toast. I was furious, but I played it smart, filed a formal HOA complaint, attached the video, the cleaner's report, and the receipt for a new suit. I figured, all right, now we'll see some justice. Instead, what I got was a letter so insulting I thought it was a prank. The board called it an unfortunate incident, blamed me for provoking Diane with my ostentatious display of wealth, and not only refused to pay, they fined me $100 for causing a disturbance. I must have read that letter 3 times before the rage really kicked in. Imagine being told it's your own fault someone ruined your property because you looked too successful. That's when I dropped the act. See, as the actual owner of Crestview, I had cards to play nobody else knew about. I called my lawyer, sent a demand letter to Diane and the board for damages, and put them on notice that this was now a legal issue, assault, property destruction, enabling harassment. Of course, they ignored me. Diane even started bragging to other residents about putting the new money kid in his place. She had no idea who she was messing with. So I called a mandatory town hall, a meeting with ownership legally binding. The board strutted in thinking they'd outmaneuvered some invisible landlord, not realizing I was about to drop the hammer in person. I walked in wearing a suit that cost even more than the last one, put a nameplate on the table. Building owner and president Crestview LLC. You could have heard a pin drop. Diane's face went from smug to ashen as it dawned on her that the kid from 7B owned the entire building. I tapped the mic. Evening, folks. For those who don't know, I'm the owner of Crestview, and I'm here to address some recent unacceptable events. That's when the gasps started, real audible shock. Diane and her board buddies looked ready to bolt. I laid it all out. Diane now owed me $300 for the ruined suit, added to her rent non-payment means eviction. The HOA board was dissolved on the spot for negligence. New elections in 30 days, none of the current members eligible. My legal team would audit the board's finances and bylaws effective immediately. And as for all those petty rules and resident harassment gone, zero tolerance going forward. Chaos. Some folks clapped, some were stunned, and the ex-board tried to argue, but the authority was mine and everybody knew it. Afterward, people came out of the woodwork to tell their own Diane stories, elderly folks fined for drying laundry on their balconies, parents harassed over scratched cars. I realized this wasn't just about a suit. It was about a system designed to bully anyone who didn't fit the old regime's mold. In the weeks that followed, everything changed. Diane paid her debt but became a ghost. Nobody saw her in the halls. The audit revealed sloppy bookkeeping and self-serving payments. New elections brought in a real board of people who actually cared. Suddenly, neighbors used the common spaces again. No more anonymous fines or threats. I refunded my $100 disturbance fine and used it to buy drinks for a get-to-know-your-neighbor night, which ironically turned into one of the best evenings I've had in years. 2 months later, Diane moved out, packed up without saying a word, just one last poisonous glare my way as the moving van rolled off. The building got even better after she left. Property values shot up. There was a waiting list for new units, and the new board invested in package lockers, EV chargers, even a rooftop garden. My firm landed the contract too. Funny enough, my reputation for handling chaos got me extra points in the end. But the story didn't end there. Diane, ever the drama queen, tried to sue me for emotional distress. Her self-written lawsuit was full of typos, legal nonsense, and a demand for $200,000. My lawyer had it tossed out immediately, with Diane ordered to pay my $8,000 in legal fees. Turns out she'd been documenting my every move, convinced my expensive watch made me a criminal, and my packages were evidence I was some kind of kingpin. It was so ridiculous it almost made me feel bad almost. She tried her antics at her new place too, but got evicted in record time for harassing neighbors. These days I hear she's working phones at a call center. No power, no followers, no audience left to bully. Meanwhile, Crestview's a real community. Now neighbors actually know each other. We've got book clubs and barbecues, and yeah, I'm dating one of Diane's former targets. Sometimes life writes its own punchlines. Not long ago, I found a bottle of wine at my door with a note. No name, just thanks for everything. I don't know who sent it, but I do know this Diane's Bleach attack cost her everything and forced me to tear down a rotten system that needed to go. True wealth isn't about fancy suits or titles. It's about using your leverage to build something better and making sure the bullies who think they'll never pay the price finally do. Now, every time I put on my new suit, I remember sometimes standing up to the biggest jerk in the room means rewriting the rules for everybody. And if you think that's too harsh, or maybe you think Diane was just misunderstood, well, let me know below. Was I right to do what I did? Did I go too far or not far enough? I want to hear what you think, because in the end, community is about all of us deciding where the line is and what we'll put up with, you know what I mean?